case says the special counsel has made a prima facie case of criminality involving Trump. Prima facie, Latin, always makes it sound weighty, right? But what does it mean? It means at first look, meaning that this is an initial showing, and a showing that could be rebutted by further proof. But it is enough that Trump may have intentionally misled even his lawyers about what he knew he had. And because of that, the judge ruled attorney-client privilege has been waived and prosecutors are being given access to texts and other communications between Trump and his attorney. And the fact that Trump is again crying foul and casting blame for another new development, that's him playing the game. So you got to be careful. And we're going to discuss how this new development changes things. The idea that, oh, well, it's just one bad judge. No, it isn't. The appellate panel, which is a 3-judge bank, denied a stay, means they justified the ruling. So there's a lot of judges involved. Let's discuss, though, what it means and what it doesn't mean and why. All right? Trump's former defense attorney, former federal prosecutor who led the Office of the Independent Counsel from 1999 to 2002, Mr. Robert Ray, joins us. Good to see you, Counselor.
Hi, Chris. Good to see you.
You surprised by this?
No. I mean, the government is aggressive, as you know, they often should be. They're not always right, but they're aggressive in pursuing evidence before a grand jury. If they think that the lawyer was used as a conduit to provide false information to the government about what the former president knew, they're seeking to bust the attorney-client privilege with the crime-fraud exception. And as you correctly point out,
stop everything you are doing right now, because this is absolutely insane. A federal judge just humiliated President Trump in open court, and it was all caught on camera for the world to see. The judge rejected Trump's desperate attempts to keep sensitive documents sealed, and then did something that left Trump visibly shocked and furious. The judge read key parts of those documents out loud, in open court, in front of everyone, documents that Trump and his legal team had fought tooth and nail to keep hidden from the public for months, documents that they claimed were protected by national security concerns and executive privilege. The judge looked at those arguments and said, no, the public has a right to know what is in these documents, and I am ordering them unsealed immediately, so everyone can see what you have been hiding. Can you believe this? The President of the United States, sitting there in court, watching helplessly as a judge reads his most sensitive secrets out loud for everyone to hear. This happened on December 1st, 2025, and the fallout from this moment is going to be enormous. We are talking about transcripts of private meetings. We are talking about financial records. We are talking about internal communications that allegedly show potential illegal directives. All of it out in the open now, because a judge decided that transparency matters more than Trump's desire for secrecy. This is unprecedented. This is historic, and this is going to change everything. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
Yesterday, we literally had no incidents for many months. It was the safest place imaginable, and this is a different kind of crime. This is a really bad crime. Millions of Americans are praying for those heroes and their families, and I must unfortunately tell you that just seconds before I went on, right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023, outstanding in every way. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. She's looking down at us right now. Her parents are with her. It's just happened. She was savagely attacked. She's dead. She's not with us. Incredible person. Outstanding in every single way, in every department. That's horrible. As you know, the other young man is fighting for his life. He's in very bad shape. He's fighting for his life, and hopefully we'll get better news with respect to him. And the monster that did this is also in serious condition. But we won't even talk about him. As you may know, DHS has confirmed that the suspect is an Afghan national flown here by the previous administration, who was such a bad administration. And I have a picture of a plane. This is what it looked like when they came in. It was total bedlam. Do you remember that period of time? Total bedlam. People crammed onto the plane. And the toughest, meanest, most capable physically got on the plane, not the people that we were looking for or that they wanted to bring in. Here's a picture for you. Just take a look at that plane. Standing on top of each other and sitting on top of each other. This is what we had under the Biden administration. That whole thing should have never, ever happened. They should have left from a different base. They should have left from Bagram, as you know, and it would have been a much different story. But they didn't do that, and this was just a rout, just a terrible situation. This heinous atrocity reminds us that we have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them. They come in illegally. They have a lot of problems. Their countries force them in because their countries are smart. They don't want them. Let's give them to the Americans to take care of. They come out of jails in many cases, mental institutions, they're gang members, they're drug dealers. We don't want them. Many of the service members on this call today are engaged in crucial aspects of that mission. And to each and every one of you, I just want to thank you so much. Incredible people. You make this.
This is one of the most dramatic courtroom moments in modern political history. Think about what we are witnessing here. A sitting president tried to use every legal tool at his disposal to keep certain documents hidden from the American people. His lawyers argued national security. They argued executive privilege. They argued that releasing these documents would cause irreparable harm to the country. They filed motion after motion trying to block public access to this information. And a federal judge looked at all of those arguments, considered all of the evidence, and said, "I do not buy it." The judge ruled that the public interest in disclosure outweighs whatever interest Trump has in keeping this information secret. And then, in a move that shocked everyone in the courtroom, the judge started reading portions of those documents out loud, right there on the record, for the whole world to hear. Trump reportedly looked stunned. His legal team was scrambling to figure out what to do, and the rest of us are left wondering, what exactly was in those documents that Trump was so desperate to hide? What did he not want us to know about? These are the questions that everyone is asking right now. And here is what makes this even more significant. These documents are connected to some of the most serious allegations Trump has faced during his entire political career. We are talking about January 6th. We are talking about security failures. We are talking about potential misconduct at the highest levels of government. The evidence that was unsealed includes transcripts from private meetings, the kind of meetings where Trump thought he could speak freely without anyone ever finding out what was said. It includes financial records that could reveal questionable transactions or conflicts of interest. And it includes internal communications, emails, and memos and messages that allegedly show potential illegal directives coming from Trump or his inner circle. This is explosive stuff. This is the kind of evidence that could fundamentally change how we understand what happened during some of the most controversial moments of Trump's time in office. And Trump knew it. That is why he fought so hard to keep it sealed. That is why his lawyers made every argument imaginable to block its release. And that is why he looked so devastated when the judge said no. So let me break down exactly what happened in that courtroom, why it matters, and what comes next. All right, let me walk you through exactly what happened in that courtroom and why it matters so much for the future of Trump's presidency and for American democracy. Because this is not just about one embarrassing moment. This is about a fundamental clash between a president who wants to operate in secrecy and a judicial system that believes in transparency and accountability. So let us start with the background. For months, Trump and his legal team have been fighting to keep certain documents sealed and away from public view. These documents relate to various investigations and legal proceedings, including matters connected to January 6th and the security failures that occurred that day. Trump's lawyers have argued that these documents contain sensitive information that should not be made public. They have cited national security concerns, claiming that releasing the documents could compromise intelligence sources or methods. They have cited executive privilege, arguing that communications between a president and his advisors should remain confidential. and they have made procedural arguments about the proper handling of classified materials. But here is the thing. Courts do not just automatically accept those arguments because a president makes them. When someone claims that documents should be sealed, the judge has to weigh the competing interests. On one side, you have the interest in keeping certain information confidential. On the other side, you have the public's right to know what their government is doing, especially when there are allegations of wrongdoing. And in this case, the judge concluded that the public interest in disclosure outweighed Trump's interest in secrecy. The judge said, and I am paraphrasing here, based on the reporting, that the American people have a right to know what is in these documents, that transparency is essential to accountability, and that Trump's arguments for keeping them sealed were not persuasive enough to override that fundamental principle. This is a huge deal, because Trump has consistently tried to operate behind a veil of secrecy throughout his career. He has resisted subpoenas. He has claimed privilege. He has fought document requests at every turn. And now a judge has said, enough is enough. The public deserves to know the truth about what you have been doing. What makes this courtroom moment so dramatic is what happened next. The judge did not just order the documents unsealed and send everyone home. The judge actually started reading portions of the documents out loud in open court. This is unusual, very unusual. Normally, when documents are unsealed, they are released through official channels and people can read them on their own time. But this judge apparently wanted to make sure that the key revelations were part of the public record immediately. And so there was Trump sitting in that courtroom, watching as his most sensitive secrets were read aloud for everyone to hear. According to reports, Trump looked shocked. He looked furious. His facial expressions made clear that he could not believe what was happening. His legal team reportedly tried to object, but the judge overruled them. The reading continued, and with every word, more of what Trump had been hiding was exposed to the light of day. It was remarkable to watch, and it is something that Trump will never forget. You could see the anger building in his face as the judge kept reading. You could see him leaning over to whisper to his attorneys, probably demanding that they do anything to make it stop. But there was nothing they could do. The judge had made the ruling, and the reading was going to happen whether Trump liked it or not. Now let us talk about what was actually in these documents, because this is where it gets really interesting. According to the reporting, the unsealed evidence includes several categories of highly sensitive material. First, there are transcripts of private meetings. These are records of conversations that Trump apparently had with various officials and advisors, conversations that he thought would never be made public. The content of these transcripts has not been fully disclosed yet, but the fact that Trump fought so hard to keep them sealed suggests that they contain damaging information. We are talking about the kind of conversations where people speak candidly because they assume no one else will ever hear what they said. The kind of conversations where the real motivations and the real intentions come out, and now those conversations are part of the public record. Second, there are financial records. These could relate to Trump's businesses, his campaign finances, or government spending decisions made during his administration. Financial records are often at the heart of corruption investigations, and the fact that these were included in the sealed documents is significant. When you follow the money, you often find the truth. And these financial records could reveal transactions that Trump desperately wanted to keep hidden from public view. Third, there are internal communications, emails, and memos and messages that allegedly show potential illegal directives. This is perhaps the most explosive category. If these communications show that Trump or people in his inner circle gave orders that violated the law that could form the basis for serious legal consequences down the road, we are talking about written evidence of potential crimes. We are talking about a paper trail that could lead all the way to the top. And all of this connects to January 6th. The documents that were unsealed reportedly include evidence related to the security failures that occurred on that day. Remember, January 6, 2021 was one of the darkest days in American history. A violent mob stormed the United States Capitol. People died. The certification of the presidential election was disrupted. And there have been serious questions ever since about what Trump knew, what he did, and what he failed to do as the violence unfolded. The unsealed documents apparently shed new light on these questions. They may show what Trump was being told in real time as the attack happened. They may show what directives he gave or failed to give to security officials. They may show the internal deliberations that took place as the Capitol was being overrun. This is exactly the kind of evidence that investigators and the public have been seeking for years. And now, thanks to this judge's ruling, it is finally coming to light for everyone to see. Think about how significant that is. For years, Trump has been able to hide behind claims of privilege and secrecy. For years, the full truth about January 6th has remained partially obscured. And now, piece by piece, that truth is being revealed. The wall of secrecy is crumbling. And what is behind that wall is exactly what Trump did not want anyone to see. Trump's response to all of this has been predictable. On December 2nd, 2025, The day after this courtroom humiliation, Trump filed a motion trying to block the release of additional documents. Specifically, he is trying to prevent the release of a report compiled by Jack Smith, the special counsel who was investigating Trump before he took office again. Trump's lawyers argued that releasing Smith's report would, and I am quoting here, perpetuate Jack Smith's unlawful criminal investigations. They are essentially arguing that the whole investigation was illegitimate, and therefore any documents produced by that investigation should be suppressed. But here is the problem with that argument. Just because Trump does not like an investigation does not mean it was unlawful. And just because he is now president does not mean he can retroactively seal evidence of potential wrongdoing. The courts are going to have to weigh these arguments carefully. But based on what we saw on December 1st, it seems like at least some judges are not buying Trump's secrecy claims anymore. They are seeing through his tactics, and they are prioritizing transparency. Come on, you cannot just declare an investigation illegitimate and expect all the evidence to disappear. That is not how our legal system works. That is not how accountability works. And thankfully, the courts seem to understand that. Okay, let us break this down into the key points you need to understand about what this courtroom moment means and why it is so significant for the future of Trump's presidency and for American democracy. Because this is not just a legal story. This is a story about transparency and accountability and the rule of law. So let us go through this point by point and really dig into what is happening here. Point number 1, this ruling represents a major defeat for Trump's strategy of hiding behind executive privilege and national security claims. For years, Trump has used these legal doctrines as shields to prevent the release of damaging information. Whenever investigators or courts have sought documents, Trump has claimed privilege. He has claimed national security. He has claimed that releasing information would cause irreparable harm to the country, and sometimes those arguments have worked. Courts have been reluctant to override a president's claims of privilege, especially when national security is invoked. But this judge saw through those arguments. This judge concluded that Trump was not really trying to protect national security or legitimate executive functions. He was trying to hide evidence of potential wrongdoing. And that is not what privilege is for. Privilege exists to protect the functioning of government, not to cover up misconduct. That distinction is crucial. And this judge understood it perfectly. Point number 2. The public reading of these documents in open court was a deliberate act of judicial transparency. Think about what the judge did here. The judge could have simply ordered the documents unsealed and released through normal channels. Instead, the judge chose to read portions of them out loud on the record, in front of Trump and his lawyers and the assembled media. That was a choice. And it sends a powerful message. The message is, you tried to hide this, but I am going to make sure everyone knows about it. The message is, transparency is not just a legal principle, it is a moral imperative. The message is, the American people deserve to know what their president has been doing. By reading those documents out loud, the judge ensured that the key revelations could not be buried or minimized or spun by Trump's team. They are now part of the official court record. They were heard by everyone in that courtroom, and they are being reported on by media outlets around the world. There is no putting this genie back in the bottle. The secrets are out, and they are not going back in. This is wild when you think about it. A sitting president, forced to sit there and listen as a judge reads his secrets out loud. That image is going to be burned into the public consciousness for a very long time. Point number 3, the content of these documents could be legally devastating for Trump. We do not yet know everything that was in those documents. The full scope of the revelations is still coming into focus. But based on what has been reported, we are talking about potential evidence of illegal directives. We are talking about financial records that could show improper transactions. We are talking about communications that could reveal obstruction or abuse of power. If even a fraction of what is alleged in these documents is true, Trump could be facing serious legal consequences. Remember, he is already dealing with multiple investigations and court cases. He has already suffered a series of legal defeats over the past few weeks. And now, this new evidence is being added to the pile. Every document that gets unsealed is another piece of the puzzle, and the picture that is emerging is not flattering to Trump at all. Are you kidding me? This is the kind of evidence that prosecutors dream about. This is the kind of paper trail that can make or break a case, and it is all coming out into the open now. Point number 4. This ruling connects to broader efforts to hold Trump accountable for January 6th and other controversies. Trump has been asserting executive privilege to try to block evidence in January 6 lawsuits. Just this week, on December 3rd, 2025, there were reports that Trump is using privilege claims to thwart civil lawsuits related to the Capitol attack. He is trying to prevent plaintiffs from accessing documents and testimony that could prove their cases. But this courtroom defeat suggests that those privilege claims may not hold up. If one judge is willing to override Trump's secrecy arguments, other judges may follow, and that could open the floodgates. Years' worth of documents that Trump has been hiding could suddenly become available. Investigations that have been stalled could move forward. And the full truth about what happened on January 6th and during other controversial moments could finally come to light for the American people to see. We are potentially looking at a domino effect here. One ruling leads to another. One document release leads to more. And before you know it, the entire wall of secrecy comes crashing down. Point number 5. This story matters because it tests whether anyone, even a sitting president, is truly above the law. That is the fundamental question at stake here. Trump believes that as president, he should be able to control what information the public sees. He believes that executive privilege gives him broad power to keep his communications and decisions secret. He believes that national security concerns can be invoked to seal any document he finds inconvenient. But our system of government is based on a different principle. It is based on the idea that the people are sovereign and that elected officials are accountable to them. It is based on the idea that transparency is essential to democracy because citizens cannot make informed decisions if they do not know what their leaders are doing. And it is based on the idea that no one, not even the president, is above the law. When Trump tried to hide those documents, he was essentially claiming that he was above accountability. And when the judge ordered them unsealed, the judge was saying, no, you are not above the law. That is a message that every American should celebrate, regardless of their political affiliation. So what happens next? Well, Trump is going to keep fighting. He filed that motion on December 2nd, trying to block additional document releases. His lawyers are going to continue making privilege arguments in every case. He is going to use every legal tool at his disposal to delay and obstruct and keep information hidden. That is his playbook. That is what he has always done. But the question is, will it keep working? Based on what we saw on December 1st, at least some judges are losing patience with Trump's secrecy tactics. They are prioritizing transparency over privilege. They are putting the public interest first. And if that trend continues, Trump could be facing a cascade of revelations over the coming weeks and months. Documents that have been sealed for years could be released. Secrets that Trump thought were safely hidden could be exposed. And the American people could finally learn the full truth about what their president has been doing. The momentum seems to be shifting. The courts seem to be getting bolder. And Trump seems to be running out of places to hide. This is a pivotal moment for American democracy. The battle over these documents is really a battle over accountability. It is a battle over whether our leaders can operate in darkness or whether they must answer to the light. And right now in courtrooms around the country, that battle is being fought. Some judges are siding with transparency, some are siding with secrecy, but the trend seems to be moving in the direction of openness, and that should give every American hope, regardless of their political views, because at the end of the day, we all benefit from knowing the truth. We all benefit from having leaders who are accountable. We all benefit from a system where no one is above the law. So keep watching this story, keep paying attention to these court rulings, because what happens in these cases is going to shape the future of our democracy for years to come. The stakes could not be higher, the consequences could not be more profound, and the outcome is still very much in doubt. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any updates on this developing story. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about this judge's decision to unseal those documents. And I will see you in the next one.